बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। आप सबको ईद मुबारक। नाज़रीन, ईद यानी खुशी का मौका है, इसलिए हमने ज़रूरी समझा कि आज एक ऐसे मुल्क के सफ़ीर से बात की जाए जिसने कभी भी पाकिस्तान को दुख नहीं दिए हैं, सुख दिए हैं, जिसने पाकिस्तान के ख़िलाफ़ कभी कोई साजिश नहीं की है, बल्कि पाकिस्तान की हर मुश्किल वक्त में मदद दी है, जिसकी दोस्ती कहा जाता है कि हिमालय से बुलंद और समंदरों से गहरी है, और जिसका नाम है पीपल्स रिपब्लिक ऑफ चाइना। हमने खुशी के इस मौका पे ज़रूरी समझा कि पाकिस्तान में पीपल्स रिपब्लिक ऑफ चाइना के सफ़ीर हिज एक्सेलेंसी याओ जिंग को ज़हमत दे और उनसे जान सके कि इस वक्त दोनों ममालिक के ताल्लुकात की नोयत क्या है, चीन की ख़ित्ते और दुनिया के हालात के बारे में सोच क्या है, पाकिस्तान चीन में क्या कर रहा है, क्या करने का इरादा रखता है, सीपैक पे कितनी डेवलपमेंट हुई है, और जो कोरोना का वबा है जो उसको चीन ने कैसे काबू कर लिया और इसको काबू करने के लिए पाकिस्तान के साथ चीन की हुकूमत क्या मदद कर रही है। तो आइए नाज़रीन, गुफ्तगू का आगाज़ करते हैं पाकिस्तान में चीन के सफ़ीर हिज एक्सेलेंसी याओ जिंग से। His Excellency, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, and I am honored to have the ambassador of the most liked country in Pakistan, and who himself is the most liked person in our country. So, Excellency Yao Jing, let's start today's conversation with a general and a light question. Excellency, you are here in Pakistan for a long time now. You like to interact, and you have good interaction with Pakistanis from all fields. So, how do you find Pakistan and Pakistani people?
Thank you. First of all, let me thank the GeoTV for giving me this opportunity to interact
Welcome.
With the audience. I think you are right. I have been here for this time, almost 3 years, and I did have a lot of interactions with all the walks of the society, and I also have made a lot of friends. I think that for me, Pakistan is just like a second home, because I spent almost most of my diplomatic career all the time in Pakistan. Pakistan is a lovely country. I think that when I stay here, when I interacting with the Pakistani friends, for example, the Pakistani people, they are extremely hospitable and friendly. They are peace-loving, and also they are hard-working. So I see a very promising nation of Pakistan, and I also see a very bright future for the whole nation.
His Excellency, during the COVID-19 epidemic, you became talk of the town due to your tireless efforts to facilitate the cooperation between Pakistan and China. Can you share the highlights of Pak-China cooperation to combat the COVID-19? And can you share some information regarding China's progress in combating this epidemic?
Of course, and because for the past almost half a year, 6 months, first of all, I should say, when China was suffering of this pandemic of COVID-19, Pakistan was the talk of the town in China. You know that Pakistan was among the first to send assistance, PPEs, to the Chinese people, in particular to the city of Wuhan. Pakistani president visited China in mid-March to express very valuable solidarity for the Chinese fight against this COVID-19. And a lot of people in Pakistan expressed their support, expressed their solidarity with the Chinese government and the Chinese people through different ways. That was when the Chinese people were suffering from this COVID-19. But unfortunately, when this pandemic came to Pakistan, first of all, I have to commend that the policies or the measures adopted by the Pakistani government for controlling and prevention of this disease. Right now, a good sign has shown that this kind of pandemic is a little under the control. As far as China is concerned, during this period, that I think that China has to reciprocate that this hospitality and also this solidarity expressed by the Pakistani government and people when China was suffering. So we started the two stages of assistance and support for Pakistan. On the first stage, basically we focused on providing these PPEs, masks, overalls, these different equipment. And the second stage is that right now we are going to assist in building the capacities of the hospitals, medical institutions. So right now we are focusing on the ventilators, some other diagnosis and also treatment equipment. During this period, both the governments and both the medical institutions of China and Pakistan have been engaged very closely. We have sent 3 medical teams with experts in prevention as well as in treatment to Pakistan, and also that we have at least 4 or 5 these video conferences among the medical experts of China and Pakistan. So I think that this is just a token support from the Chinese side, but because this is a very challenging and a difficult period, of course, every nation is working hard to control and prevent this pandemic. And I'm very glad with the efforts of the Pakistani government and the people that this situation is getting better here. Unity and cooperation is the only way for us to come out of this challenge. And the cooperation, the support between China and Pakistan demonstrate that this unity and cooperation is fruitful, and also it is, I should say, it can deliver. But finally, I believe that the efforts by the Pakistani government people will bear the fruits.
Absolutely, the Pakistani people and the Pakistani government will never forget and cannot forget your personal efforts and the support which the Chinese people and the Chinese government provided during this difficult time of COVID-19. नाज़रीन, एक मुख्तसर सी ब्रेक और वापस आएंगे तो चीन के सफ़ीर के साथ गुफ्तगू यहीं से आगे बढ़ाएंगे. Excellency, now let's come to the real subject, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, the CPEC. First of all, can you share the status and development on the CPEC with viewers per this program? Second, how China is supporting Pakistan and what are the challenges?
Okay, I think that this is the very major topic, and I thank you for your kind attention and interest in this cooperation between China and Pakistan. CPEC is right now the major platform of our cooperation between with Pakistan. The current status of the CPEC, I should say, it is in the status of broadening and expansion. I should say that right now, since the CPEC started in 2013, or this conception started, and the real cooperation started in 2015. So after the previous year's efforts, there are 4 major areas of the previous focus: water, port, communication and transportation, industry, as well as the power sector. I think most of the projects have been completed. By expansion or broadening of the CPEC cooperation, I should say that right now, with the guidance of your government and also with your policy of the government of Pakistan, we are going to expand our cooperation to the new areas. Right now, for example, the most tangible area of the cooperation is in the social sector. This social sector basically is community-based, people-based projects, including, for example, education, health care, and water management, poverty alleviation, and vocational training, as well as other, I think, people-to-people collaborations. And also that we are going to have some new cooperation, like in the agriculture, I think, which I will deliberate a little later on, as well as the science and technology. The area of bilateral cooperation basically is focused on these areas. However, CPEC is also a regional platform. So right now we are also trying to engage the regional countries and the regional business communities to join the CPEC or to benefit from the cooperation of the CPEC. So I think that CPEC basically is a mutually beneficial project. For the China, definitely we have more economic opportunities in Pakistan, because Pakistan is a big market and is a developing market, and we have more share of the Pakistani market. Second, for Pakistan, I think that by collaborating under the CPEC framework, you can have more opportunities, for example, for the FDI, for the capitals, for the technologies, and also for the economic activities. So right now, the focus of the CPEC, it is on the economic cooperation. What are the challenges of the CPEC for the current stage? I think that there are several aspects. First, I think is we need, because right now the CPEC has covered a lot of areas, so we may need more structured or more streamlined focuses on different areas. We have a framework of the CPEC called JCC. And we also have different, right now, 8 joint working groups. But right now, the major challenge comes from this COVID-19. Because of this pandemic, we could not have face-to-face meetings and to work out more concrete plans. Although we have these online or these video conferences, however, that this pandemic also create some problems for us to work out these structures or projects or plans in a faster way. Second challenge, I think it is also this, I should say, the change of the dynamics of the economy development of the global situation, as well as the regional. For example, that all the countries or all the governments are fighting against this COVID-19, so that a lot of challenge naturally that resources have been shifted to the other areas, so that for the economic sector, then we need more input and more focused efforts to revive these economic activities. And thirdly, I think it is also some kind of global situation. You know that China has been picked up as a major rival for for the United States. So whatever China is doing, even for a mutually beneficial project, that there are a lot of propagandas or defamations against this. They say that CPEC has a kind of exploitation. CPEC is a kind of one-sided project that only benefits Chinese side, or that the CPEC has a lot of high cost and high burden for Pakistan. I think that this kind of propaganda comes from, I said, very ill-intentioned kind of designs that try to create some problems or bad names for this cooperation. But since we are conducting the CPEC cooperation with the full participation of the Pakistani government and the Pakistani society, so I believe both China and Pakistan, we are the best positioned to understand that this is a purely economic cooperation or commercial cooperation projects. Both the governments and both the peoples have the better or the best understanding of the nature of the CPEC. We want to build this stronger economy for Pakistan, and also that through this period, that this regional connectivity and the regional cooperation could be also enhanced. Sir.
Excellency, you are absolutely right that not only the Pakistan and China, but the whole region will benefit from CPEC. But now I want to specifically talk about the MOU on agriculture under CPEC, which was signed during the visit of President of Pakistan. So there is no second opinion about the fact that agriculture is backbone of Pakistan's economy. It contributes 38.6% to labor force directly. But agriculture also faces problems of low productivity of crops, bad state of supply chain, and also the threat of climate change. So, Excellency, how China will help Pakistan to improve and modernize the agriculture and help to move towards climate smart agriculture?
I totally agree with you regarding the cooperation, the importance of cooperation in the sector of agriculture. And yes, we did sign this MOU on agriculture in this March when the President of Pakistan visited China. But even before this MOU was signed, that in the social sector cooperation, we do have agriculture sector cooperation to that. Agriculture is very important, especially for the populated nation. You know, China, we have a 1.4 billion population. So how to feeding this such a big population and to secure that the supply of the food is always the #1 priority for the Chinese government. As far as I understand, every year the first cabinet meeting of the Chinese government is always only one agenda, that is agriculture. So that demonstrates that the agriculture occupies the Chinese first priority of our governance and our government work for the whole year. And I see that also the Pakistani government attaches great importance to the development of the agricultural sector, that not only they provide the most employment for your population, they also contribute almost 1/4 of your GDP growth. The cooperation under this on the agricultural sector that right now, since that because of this MOU or the joint working group on agriculture is established, we are going to streamline that our agricultural cooperation in three different tracks. First, between the government, we right now focus on the technology cooperation between the two governments. We have that National Agricultural Council or that the National Agricultural Commission, and you have the Pakistan National Agricultural Council also. So that this, under the guidance of the two governments, that these two research centers will establish a comprehensive mechanism for example, for the improvement of the seed quality, for improvement of the agricultural machinery, to the improvement of the employment or the output of the different harvests or crops. So this is the technology part, and it will be done by the two governments, and the resources will be coming from our grant. That is to, for example, 10 agricultural technical center will be established in different localities in Pakistan. And also that we are going to establish a pest control and prevention, because these days we had the challenge of the locust, a pest control laboratory and center in Karachi. And also that, for example, some seed development center for the major crops in Pakistan were also established, for example, in Multan, in Faisalabad, and in other parts of Pakistan. So this is the government-driven. First is focused on the technology. Second is we call the capacity building of the, for example, we have started a big scale of the scholarships on agriculture sector for the Pakistani young students. We are offering almost more than 50 training programs connected with the agriculture sector. But right now, because of the COVID-19 problem, we could not have this physical exchange. So right now we are exploring this online or video training for the experts. And also we are going to establish or empower some of the agricultural vocational training, or that is provide the equipment, provide the utilities for the farmers, for the rural residents, for them to grasp or understand these advanced technologies or materials. The third track or the third area of our cooperation we are exploring is that in the commercial sector. In China, you know that we have these commercial companies who are importing a lot of agricultural products, dairies, meats, and other agricultural products. Here you have a vast land, maybe with some kind of irrigation improvement, they could be very profitable. So we are encouraging, for example, some commercial to commercial, B2B cooperation between the two private sectors. For example, that we are exploring the possibility of import meat from Pakistan. Because you know China is a big market, and in the meat market we would like to share this with the dairy sector, and also we are exploring. So we have recommended some of the major commercial companies on agriculture to collaborate with your major companies, and they will have their joint ventures. But the purpose is that to increase the value, to add the value for your agricultural products, and we will purchase and import from Pakistan to increase our trade with Pakistan. So this is what right now we are designing and we are implementing under the CPEC agriculture sector.
Excellency, my next question is also about another MOU, the MOU on science and technology. It's very important, especially in the context of fourth industrial revolution. So like 5G, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, robotic, etc. So Excellency, would you share your thoughts how this MOU will help Pakistan to benefit from the fourth industrial revolution?
Yes, I think you also touched on a very important area. That in fact since 1980s, almost for the past 40 years, that our two governments, Chinese and the Pakistani government, we did have a mechanism we call the Joint Commission on Science and Technology Cooperation. But it was combined with the Joint Economic and Trade Cooperation. So that it was, I think, more or less not so outstanding in the cooperation. So also during this visit by the Honorable President of Pakistan to China in March, we have another MOU signed, and it is on science and technology. And by separate all that this science and technology sector from other sectors cooperation, we think that both sides have attached more importance to the cooperation. You have mentioned the 5G, artificial intelligence, and quantum computing. These are, I think, the leading technologies for this century or for this era. In this sector, right now, we only engage mostly is on the expertise exchanges. Right now, I think you have the largest number of the students and also the masters and the doctors in the Chinese research and education institutions for the, we call the digital revolution or the digital industries. But more importantly, right now, under the cooperation under the CPEC framework, we are focused on the applied technologies. In China, for example, we have a long-term plan. We call the rural technology development plan. That is that we go to the villages and go to the rural areas to provide applied, very simple technology, but can improve for example, the production, the harvest, the crop increase or whatever, we would like to recommend and also copy some of the technologies to the rural areas. Second is through this commercial cooperation. You know that right now some leading companies in China, they are engaging that the leading technologies in the digital areas. So we are very much encouraging that, like the leading companies like the Alibaba, like the Tencent, like this Huawei, they are the leading company in different sectors. We are also encouraging them that to have more this business collaboration with their counterparts in Pakistan. And through this cooperation, this technology could be shared and shifted. This kind of experience could be shared and shifted. So this is thirdly is that we are going to have also, like the agriculture sector, the two governments are nominating several state-of-the-art laboratories cooperation. For example, for the for this artificial intelligence. That is because we have some kind of facilities and we invite your experts to go to China. For example, we under the CPEC, we are also going to have cooperation on the sector of the space research and development. Satellite center or a joint center, development center will also be established under the CPEC. So that's the science and technology, because it covers a lot of areas, but we are engaging and we are trying to utilize all the resources to have more, both sets. One is for research, second is for application. So this is the new area with a lot of potential for our CPEC cooperation.
नाज़रीन, एक मुख्तसर सी ब्रेक लेते हैं, वापस आएंगे तो गुफ्तगू का सिलसिला यहीं से आगे बढ़ाएंगे। हमारे साथ रहिए। Excellency, in your talks you mentioned about the baseless propaganda against CPEC.
Yes.
So in the end, I want to know about your thoughts on baseless propaganda against CPEC. What do you think, why this propaganda is going on, especially against the Chinese companies, despite the fact that many Chinese companies are contributing in job creation, social work, education, clean, green Pakistan, etc. Companies like Hire Ruba, Chinese overseas port and holding companies, Huawei, etc. are on the forefront, but still these companies face propaganda. What is your take on it?
Yeah, I think, sir, that this is very unfortunate, and I think that for me, I'm also thinking about it. Why there are so many, so much propaganda against CPEC or Chinese companies. For example, right now, for example, Huawei, the United States, some Western countries, they are trying to ban all that stop use. We are thinking that Huawei is a purely private company, and they developed their own technology based on their own capability. The only problem Huawei has, maybe in the eyes of the Westerners, the only problem of Huawei is because they are Chinese, because they are Chinese companies. So since China has been figured as a kind of major rival or a kind of challenge to the Western, I should say, Western world, then they definitely, without any reasons, they will target. But CPEC is different, because I think that there are different, a lot of comments both in Pakistan and in the world. There are two different kind of comments as far as CPEC. In my eyes, first, they are good intention, advisories, a lot of guidance, advice. For example, for the previous stage of the CPEC, we should focus too much on the power sector, on the communication infrastructure, but CPEC should also go to the West sector, go to the social sector, go to the poverty elevations. I think this kind of comments, they are most welcome, because they can make the Pakistani government and the Chinese government, both sides, to conduct a better CPEC, or a more deliverable CPEC. Second part of the comments is a little, I think, we say ill-intentional, or they're based on some political purposes, which this is a part which we are totally against. And we think that we have the 100% consensus between China and Pakistan that for this ill-intentioned comment propaganda, we have to reject it, and we have to deal with it in a proper way. But sir, I would like to make it is very clear is that right now China, not only for Pakistan but also for the whole world, would like to offer our technology, offer our resources, offer our economic opportunities for the whole world. So CPEC is only a part of this kind of offer. Broadly, we have this Belt and Road Initiative. We are offering this kind of economic opportunities for our partners. However, that because China's vision is a little, I think, challenging to the current status quo. For example, that the United States, they say everything China is doing is against their interest, is a kind of disturbance of this. But if you see that who is following the international rules, who is following the international regimes, who is following the international practice, right now I think China is, because we benefited from these international rules and international institutions. So China would like to do everything possible to conduct, we call the equally based cooperation with all the countries. So under this kind of big background, the CPEC figures out that there are more and more people or more and more forces use their lens, use their propaganda against it. But one thing is very clear, that who are conducting CPEC, that is China and Pakistan, and who are in full support of CPEC, that is China and Pakistan. I'm not saying that CPEC is 100% perfect, 100% perfection of this kind, because we just studied bigger scale cooperation. I want to say that CPEC definitely is fair, is clear, is clean, and also is mutually beneficial. Of course, we have a lot of more things to do, to improve, and to also make it more deliverable or the more better balanced for the future development. So this is my understanding of this propaganda. This propaganda won't stop. But more importantly is that for China, for Pakistan, for the two peoples, for the region, when we see that the benefit of the CPEC, when we see the potential of the CPEC, we can keep working on it. And by the way, CPEC is not exclusive. CPEC would be more than happy to have more participants, have more participation from the different business scope, because economy cannot be developed alone. Economy is right now is a globalized project, or the globalized development. So we have to have some more regional international cooperation as far as our economy is concerned. So.
Excellency, you are absolutely right that not only China but also Pakistan and the whole region and the whole world can benefit from CPEC. And the immediate beneficiary except Pakistan could be Afghanistan. So my last question would be, how Gwadar port will help Afghanistan transit trade, and what role Chinese overseas port and holding company can play? I think you are the right person to answer this question, as you also served in Afghanistan.
Yes, and for example, that you mentioned this regional aspect of the CPEC, and in particular the Gwadar port. And the Gwadar port first is a Pakistani port. But in my eyes, I think that this is a big opportunity for the development of Pakistan, in particular the development of Balochistan. Because according to the normal knowledge or common sense, that coastal areas development will bring about a lot of economic dividends for the whole area. So Gwadar Port is a part of the CPEC, but we want to make a commercial part of the CPEC to deliver these dividends to not only for the Balochistan, for the Pakistan, but also for the region. So I think right now that your government has given this policy for Gwadar Port to handle these transit goods to Afghanistan, because Afghanistan is a landlocked country. They need these transit routes. Previously, they go through the Karachi or Port Qasim, but right now there's no new alternative. So in fact, with this policy, I think last month, the Gwadar Port has handled about almost 170,000 tons of Afghan commodities. Because this company, Chinese Overseas Port and Holding Company, they are the handler or they are the operator of this port. So they promised to the Pakistani government that for their handling of all the commodities, they will adopt the most efficient, most economical, and also most helpful way that to handle all the properties to facilitate this logistical transit. I served in Afghanistan, and I had a lot of discussion with the Afghan leaders and Afghan society. You know that, of course, the current peace process and reconciliation process is very important for Afghanistan. But I always find in the minds of the Afghan leaders and the Afghan people that they are very much keen to have the regional connectivity. They are very keen to have not only the motorway links with Pakistan, to upgrade the motorway. They would like to have more railway links. So in my mind, if in the future, a railway from Gwadar to Kandahar, to Balochistan, Kandahar, and to the Central Asia, it could be a very, very, I should say, beneficial route of trade or transportation for the region, for Afghanistan. So a lot of potential is existing, that collaboration. So I'm very glad that your government, Pakistan, is working very hard for the peace and the stability in Afghanistan. Because when you are more closely connected with Afghanistan, in fact, far beyond Afghanistan, it is Central Asia. And Central Asia definitely would like to have more access to the ports, to the routes of the logistics. So Pakistan, in fact, has the greatest potential as the hub of the regional trade and the regional connectivity. The development of Gwadar, but also in the meanwhile, the development of the port of Karachi and the port Qasim offers this kind of hope, this kind of prospect for the regional connectivity. For China, due to the CPEC, due to our collaboration with Pakistan, we would like to explore and also have the full use of this potential for Pakistan as the hub of the regional, regional connectivity and the cooperation. And I see also a lot of enthusiasm from the Pakistani leaders and the Pakistani people. So this is my understanding of this Gwadar port, sir.
Excellency Yao Jing, thank you very much. And on behalf of Geo TV viewers and on behalf of the entire Pakistani nation, I would like to thank you, to your government and to the entire Chinese nation who, like every difficult time, help Pakistan more than any other country during the COVID-19 epidemic. So long live Pakistan, long live China, and long live China-Pakistan friendship. Once again, thank you very much, Excellency.
Thank you, sir. And I also have to thank you for your kindness and also for your time But I think the Eid festival is coming, so I would like to also take out this opportunity to present my best wishes, Eid Mubarak, to all the staff of GOTV as well as to the older people of Pakistan, and Pakistan Dosti Zindabad.
Thank you, Excellency,
Thank you,
and
sir.
Eid Mubarak to you.
Eid Mubarak to you too, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
ناظرین، اس کے ساتھ ہی آج کے جرگے کا وقت ختم ہوا چاہتا ہے، اس دعا کے ساتھ کہ آپ جہاں بھی رہیں خوش رہیں۔ سلیم، صافی اور جرگا کی پروڈکشن ٹیم کو اجازت دیجیے۔ اللہ حافظ۔